screen, so it's
We are live, back with the CoinVol crew. Sorry, Scott, I actually had already pressed go when you were talking, so I'm sorry, but I didn't mean to cut you off.
it's nothing major. I was seeing if there's a way to flip my screen so my screen wasn't mirrored backwards on me, but it's no biggie.
Back with, of course, Rue Black, Maximus Crypto, and our special guest, Longview Compute. What's going on, guys? How's everybody doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I've had a great day today.
Doing great.
Nice
Glad
and
to be.
sunny. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just thinking we were going the other way. Sorry about that. I
All good.
was just going to say, doing great. If you're wondering, on your end, you see the mirror. On our end, it all looks perfect, so you don't have to worry about that. But hey, guys, so glad to have Scott of Longview Compute on the channel. We'll definitely highlight his channel here in a little bit. But nonetheless, by all means, anybody that's new that you've never seen before, or if you do recognize him because you're subscribed to him, we will definitely highlight his channel. But please make this gentleman who has a lot of great content feel welcome. He covers obviously things like Canton, he covers ICP, he covers numerous things, right? So we're gonna pick his brain on a few things, but we really appreciate you guys, and nonetheless support people that we're networked with. Give him a follow. We'll highlight his channel, but we want to get into the super chat. I don't know where it
Go
came
ahead,
from.
thanks. It's on CoinVol, so you go ahead and read it.
Yeah. Chris Colt says, list the hat I see. Now you're a Bond villain. Okay. Well, thank you for the $10 super chat. And Elon Muff, $2 super chat. He says, let's go. Thank you so much, Crypto Mike.
That name is awesome.
Well, you just got a subscriber right there.
I'm just saying.
He got kicked off of, didn't he get kicked off of X for that name multiple times?
Yeah, but they fixed some things and then they unbanned him, so I think he's good now. But boy, did he ever have to he had to earn it. So anyway, we do appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So we're gonna talk some Canton today. Maybe throw some ZEBEC in there. I like to joke about when Rue and I were in Vegas for the XRP event, and I made a beeline for what's his name, Rue?
Paul Barron, man.
Paul Barron made a beeline for Paul. What's up with that Canton stuff you've been talking, man?
Oh, now you don't know nobody, Paul, huh?
Yeah, what's up, Paul? What's up, buddy?
He cannot keep Yuval out of his mouth to save his life.
Right.
Yeah, I lost a lot of respect for him over this Canton situation. Like, I used to watch Paul all the time because, for the most part, I considered him a reliable source of information. He interviewed people and stuff, but he's starting to act like, I mean, another crypto YouTuber that I'm not going to mention, but he's kind of starting to act that way, And it's like, what are you doing, dude? You're destroying your reputation.
Right. I mean, the hit piece that was the interview with Yuval is one thing, but like he keeps bringing him up, and he attacked it with Avalanche, he attacked him with Charles Hoskinson, and we see what happened with Cardano, and then he just attacked him with Stellar. And if you remember back to the interview he did with Yuval, and he was talking so much smack about the DTCC being the big bad wolf and all this shit. Are we allowed to cuss on here? I'm sorry.
Go right ahead.
But he, the DTCC is the big bad wolf and all this stuff, and he had nothing but kind things to say about the DTCC in the Stellar interview. It's just completely ridiculous.
He's like a representation for me of kind of like the people out there. You'll get people who will say, well, you know what, Visa, for example, is involved with Canton, so no, we don't want anything to do. That's terrible. But these are the same people who will celebrate a partnership with Visa for their favorite crypto project.
Right.
You can't have it both ways.
Exactly. I mean, you can't have it both ways, and that's where tokenomics come to play for your token and your blockchain. Because yeah, sure, Visa's partnering well with all these people. Great. What's it going to do for your token?
Yeah.
Now,
Yep,
excellent segue. You mentioned Cardano. I was watching your latest show, and you were saying that, well, Charles said it out of his own mouth that Draper, Tim Draper, is supporting Cardano, and you went to say that Draper is also supporting some Canton projects. Can
Several.
you dig a little deeper into that?
Well, I mean, I know Draper's heavily involved. I don't know if I'm allowed to name names of projects he's involved in, but I don't think it's any secret that he's involved with a lot of the stuff going on Canton. Off the top of my head, at least 4 projects.
Okay, got it. Because I've done a lot of research on Tim Draper when it comes to ZEBEC and Swift blockchain. And I just found Tim Draper in a lot of great projects when it comes to crypto. So that's very, very interesting and intriguing to me.
Right. And that's, I mean, and I try to give everything a fair shake, right? So in that, to be fair, when I was talking about Cardano in that video, I was attacking the crap out of it. But I mean, they brought up Draper. I'm like, this is something, like, this is a nugget we need to pay attention to, because Draper is not nothing. They're involved in a lot.
Right. And just researching his family, they have that old money. They basically invented Silicon Valley, like literally. So
Right.
It's very interesting that Charles would hook up with Draper. It almost makes me think, okay, do they have money problems, or is this him just paying the piper to get a little bit further? It's
Well, no, they
interesting.
obviously have money problems. He said it himself in that clip I showed. I mean, they said they needed some kind of bailout. In his own words, Cardano needed a bailout. So they're going, and they said a lot of their apps are going to die. They're going to crumble. They're going to go away. There's going to be a consolidation. They're bringing in Draper, and they said that investment's going to go to new projects.
Yep.
So essentially, they're saying they're tearing it down and rebuilding it.
Yeah, didn't Charles say that he's going on hiatus again, and people are making a big deal out of it?
The only thing I saw is after he went on his whole rant thing, he says, I'm taking a break. So
Yeah.
I think people are drawing into that. I don't think we really know what that means yet.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know why it's a big deal. I mean, he disappeared in the last bear market too. I recall he went to Alaska, I want to say, for 2 weeks where there was no reception, and he's like telling everybody, yeah, in like 2022 bear market. So
Thank you, Brent, over on Maximus Crypto with the 589 super chat. Good question. Let's read this out loud. Thank you so much. Why is there so much hate between retail and different cryptos? Crypto products, if you think something has upside, just as some, why not? By the way, go XRP. You know what? I appreciate the super chat. I'm actually going to throw this your way, Scott, because let's face it, it's Canton. This is something that we've been talking a lot about, even on the Coin Vault. Some of our first Canton videos, we were pointing out some things that Canton has kind of early Ripple vibes. Remember when you were saying that, Rob, how they were the ones that were always attacked by like Ethereum's. Yeah, very, very early. And it does have
Banker's
some
coin.
By all means, go ahead. Yes.
I just said
yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say to what Max was saying. Yeah, I always say XRP was under the same degree of attack in the early days. They were calling it the banker's coin, and it's institutionalized, so stay away from it and all that kind of stuff. Same rhetoric.
Right. It's ideology, right? I mean, it's cypherpunk versus institutionalized, or permission versus permissionless, or whatever you want to throw on it. And I think of I hate to say, I feel like cypherpunk and DeFi feels like they're losing and getting the crap kicked out of them right now, and people are angry. And again, like you said, you mentioned the correlation between XRP and CC and how people are treating it, but a lot of the things, like the first announcement that came out was with the DTCC. So immediately the XRP army hates CC. That's ours. You know, it's like it just the way it burst onto the scene with no one knowing anything about it, and all of a sudden it's getting all this, attention. People think it's bought and paid for, or they're getting screwed, and it's a battle of ideology, I feel like.
Well, for me, the whole cyberpunk mentality, the whole, anti-establishment mentality it's all well and fine, but if we ever want this asset class to truly be up there competing with, say, the S&P 500, we talk about the $72 trillion versus $2.5 trillion, right?
Right.
Guess what? Institutions have to come into the space. There is no way around it. So you can either make less money and not have them in, or have them in and make a lot of money, but you can't have it both ways.
Right. I think where people got confused is that they thought that institutions were going to come in and do it their way. They thought the institutions were going to come in and do it retail DeFi way. And I'm sorry, anyone who thought that, I believe, was very poorly misled, or didn't, maybe understand how money works and how governments works, and the power that is wrapped up in that. They were never going to let go of that power, in my opinion, anyway. So I naturally looked at those aligned incentives and tried to get into those types of projects.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's another thing where people don't realize DeFi for most people, for the most common people, that's way too much for them anyway.
Right.
Like to remember a seed phrase and how many words, and it's just way too much. It was going to have to be commercialized anyway.
Right. I think that's an excellent point too, is we get trapped in this space, especially us as content creators sometimes, but as people viewing the content for sure, we get trapped in this space and forget what a small pool of fish we actually are that are involved in crypto, especially at any kind of deep depth of understanding it. There's very, very few people on this planet when you look at the grand scope of things that are actually paying attention.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because something I've been sharing even here at the Coin Vault and our other channels is the statistics show, even on YouTube, right? YouTube, you only have about roughly 4 million views per week on YouTube that is cryptocurrency, blockchain, DLT related. So with that said, 4 million, how many people are in the world? Like 7 to 8 billion, give or take. So it's just like, when we talk about, the 1%, there's that. And then I also look at, like, man, I mean, we talk about mass adoption, we're not even close to it yet. And so when people say you were so early, you literally are. I can look at the data any time I want, and it still shows that. And even though I get frustrated in the bear market, I'm like, not many people tuning in and so on. It says, guess what? Your channel itself, 4 or 5%. Thinking, geez, if I'm gonna look at it from that point of view, that's not too shabby.
Right.
Where do we go from here? And this is something I want to pull up on the screen just real briefly, because you share this over on your X. So for one, we'll highlight your X real quick. I want Rob to share this. It's just a quick thing. But I thought you were so spot on by resharing this with the community and whatnot. Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, it kind of says it for itself. And big shout out to Crypto Mike, Elon Muff. This is something that him and I were working on. We literally went to the RWA.io site. But I love this. This is, what's the difference between revenue and potential again, Yuval? And it kind of speaks for itself, right? I mean, I always have the slogans like utility and motion. Again, those are some big numbers that anybody can go verify. I thought you would maybe touch bases on this a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, anyone can go verify. And so most people look at DeFi Llama, right? Well, DeFi Llama hasn't been reporting this. And I think a lot of people miss that. They mainly look at total value locked on a blockchain. Well, what is Canton's primary feature? Privacy. You can't see what's locked on the chain. So a lot of people are freaking out. They're like, how can this little blockchain with 250,000 in TVL do 2 million in fees or 3 million in fees in a day? And the craziest thing, you hear about the repo, right? The 400 billion in repo. You hear about Visa. You hear about, HSBC, the Japanese bond pilot. None of that is burning CC. None of it. Not a single dollar, not a single CC comes from any of that, because that's all taking place on the private subnets, which isn't contributing to the burn yet.
that's something that Rob has mentioned a lot in regard to the critics of CC. They'll point out like, oh, I don't like the whole, tokenomics, but it's just like, are you really digging deep in tokenomics? And I know that's something that you have covered a lot on your channel, Scott. But just real quick, Rob, I mean, we brought this up on CoinVault numerous times. People want to flood the whole thing of Canton's tokenomics, but they don't realize how the true burn mechanism is at hand. I want you to touch basis on that if you don't mind.
Well, yeah, it's just the age old, tell a half truth or a whole lie, right? People who want to talk a narrative, they want to talk negatively about Canton, for example. They'll talk to the cows come home about the minting, but they'll completely and utterly omit the other end of that equilibrium, right? Like it doesn't even exist. It's a fugazi. We don't talk about it, right? So I just find that funny, the intellectual dishonesty of, mentioning the burning mechanism in the equilibrium is not beneficial to the narrative they're spinning. So they conveniently just kind of forgot about that.
Right. I mean, you could take it a step further too. I mean, I saw a video recently someone did, and they were explaining the amount of CC that gets minted annually, but did not discuss the actual mint schedule and how it's declining and halving, and it's the mint schedule is going like this, and the minting of CC is going like this, and the burn's going whoop. Like, so if you're going to talk about the mint and the burn, at least talk about them in the right context. But a lot of times you don't even get that. So
yeah, I did a video just trying to break down the whole thing, because they did come out with, for lack of a better term, a white paper just on the way that the equilibrium works. And I went through I told Max it took me an hour of just reading through it on camera and just, explaining it and breaking it down. And people still, they don't pay attention. They pick what they want to, and I'm like, man, like, you don't understand. Like, so, the money for the super validators, for example, right? The problem, I believe that comes down, and, the other end kind of comes up, right? So
right,
over time.
With the super validators, when they first started minting CC, when the token first came on and they first started releasing it, the super validators earned 80%.
Yeah.
Then it dropped to 40%, and now it's actually at 20%. So they weighted it and they distributed it based on utility on what's going to build the actual blockchain. So at the beginning, they needed the credibility. They needed the big players. So they rewarded super validators the most to get that credibility, to get those big players, to get that security and get everything built up. Now they've got that established, and they've rotated it to where now the bulk of the rewards or the bulk of the minted CC are going to the app developers, because now they're the ones that are going to be driving the value to the blockchain and helping it grow.
And from my understanding, for the super validators, they've incentivized them to not sell any tokens, because if they don't hold their tokens, they lose their vote, right?
Well, it's not even just that. They're not even incentivized. They are required to lock 70% of all their freshly minted tokens. You can actually track it. They have it available. You can go to Canton Scan, or you can go to, whatever networking website you want to use to follow Canton. I use Canton Scan. But you can visually see what's being locked by each super validator, who's in compliance. And if you really think about the mint and the burn to mint equilibrium, and you factor in the available supply versus the available float, it's two different numbers too. So things can change pretty rapidly once the burn changes, essentially.
Well, it goes back to the same narrative that gets pushed, where that's another important thing for people to know, with 70% of super validators tokens having to be locked up. It again goes back to, reminds me of XRP and Ripple, where people will say the tokenomics of XRP are absolutely awful, omitting the fact that, like, the implication, what they're saying is that Ripple can just unlock all their tokens at once and dump them on the market if they wanted to. And that's just not the case.
No, I'll be the first to say that XRP's tokenomics are awful. I mean, I'll argue that with anyone, but I'm also very aware of the what's it called? I can't remember the word right now. but when they release 1 billion tokens every single month,
Oh, the
roughly
escrow.
700 million or 700 million are relocked every time. About 300 million go out for sale. Most of those are already predetermined. Believe me, I followed XRP I was an XRP guy before CC. So I'm very familiar with XRP, but they do have crap tokenomics.
Fair, which is fair, but my point, I guess, I was getting at was more just the intellectual dishonesty of the implication that Ripple can just unlock all of their tokens and dump them on the market whenever they want. Right. Similar to Canton, where they say, like, they completely ignore the fact that 70% of the super validator tokens are locked up. They can't just take them and dump them on you like that. So
no, absolutely not. Yeah. They can't dump them now. I mean, they earned a lot, but I mean, like, for instance, like Broadridge, I was just talking with someone today, like Broadridge has 1.4 billion CC tokens, you know. I mean, so there are a lot out there. There's 38 billion in circulation. But is Broadridge going to sell it? Do they really need to? I mean, like, so who knows what's going to happen?
Jetpack loves your evaluation of XRP's tokenomics. Shout out to Jetpack.
I hold a big bag of XRP, guys. I believe in XRP for the long view over the next 5 to 10 years. I just have a different view than most people who cover XRP.
Well, you're just being honest, and that's the thing, is that most people, you know, they want to give you the sprinkles, but they don't want to give you, you know, the other side of the toast, so to speak.
Right. I mean, when I first started, I was, you know, I was figuring it out on YouTube too, and I started with the sprinkles. I'm like, this just isn't me. I'm like, I can't do it. I'm just gonna stream and be me, and that's when my channel started working for me, honestly.
Well, when Bitcoin was about a month ago, when Bitcoin was up at around 82K, yeah, I was telling everybody on the channel, like, look, we're going down below 75, 70. Like, I think we're going 50, 55 in the bear market, guys. Like, again, I know it's not what people want to hear, and I got a lot of hate for it. I did. People were so angry at me, but. Here we are.
Tell people it's going to 37 and see what happens. They didn't like that either.
Well, my community would be like, I'm holding my stable coins. I'm going to buy it up, right? So
there you go. Yeah. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? None of us know. Anyone who claims that they do know is full of crap. But I mean, we're all trying to do our best.
Yeah, it's a probability game, and I think that's one of the biggest weaknesses for newer people in the asset class, is that they think that they're going to get some sort of degree of certainty out of some magic YouTuber out there that, you know, and it's just not the case.
I mean, that's kind of, unfortunately, the influencer community's fault for how it was built over the last several years. But we're trying to change that, right? That's what I love about this Coin Vault space, is you are all just trying to deliver the facts. I feel like it's a definitely more of a mature crypto community that's starting to form now in this space.
Well, we appreciate that. It's also because it's our background and what we have gone through ourselves, right?
Right.
Like, there's not one single guy here that said, oh yeah, you know, immediately as soon as I started covering everything, I had it all figured out. And no. We got better.
Our lumps.
Yeah, we've all gotten better with our craft, if you want to call it that. We've upped their game. We you know, use a lot of critical thinking. We cross-reference things. I mean, you guys obviously mentioned Draper. I mean, this gentleman right above my head, he could literally write the book on the Draper family. So to see you reference Draper, like, even if I was a person from the outside, like in the audience, who just tuned in, you could see if somebody has studied up on this. And then with what you mentioned, I was just like, yeah, Rue's going to love this collection. Because Rue is covered, oh my gosh, the Draper family. So he covers a lot of Swift coin. I do too. So does Rob. You can totally tell. And geez, I mean, the mention of Draper in itself, I mean, all a person has to do is just look into more of like Elon Musk and say, who was his VC money early? Draper.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, everybody knows who Elon Musk is unless they're living on a freaking rock. So people can quickly see if we're the real McCoy or not. But yeah, I appreciate you mention that. Guys, what we want to do real quick, I think this is something that we should have done maybe at the beginning, and that's okay. We're going to highlight Scott's channel. You need to go over, if you love our deep dive research, whether it's on Maximus Crypto, Crypto Future 99, Blackrue Investing, you need to support people like this that's in the space, because Again, he also does excellent deep dive research. And shout out to you, Scott. You've had Yuval literally as a special guest on your program. So here's his channel, everybody. It's Longview Compute. It can be followed over at Longview Compute, just like it sounds. And he's covering a lot of things. He's covering obviously the crashes. He's covering a lot of, Canton. He covers so many different things, right? On top of that, he does have live shows. If live shows are your thing, obviously you guys are connected right now. So yeah, check out some of his live shows. Shout out to Crux. He wasn't here tonight, but that's okay. He did a recent collab with Crux. And then on top of that, give him a follow over on X. Same thing at Longview Crypto. So anyway, thought I'd at least highlight that.
Yeah.
And funny story. A lot of people don't know this. I'm starting to figure it out. I honestly didn't figure this out till about a month ago. Live shows don't show up like videos. I live stream every single day, Monday through Saturday. That's all I do. So like all my videos have come from the live streams, but typically when people go to a channel, they don't click on the live button. It takes you to the video section. I didn't know that. So I'm starting to do a lot more clips of the live streams and putting them in videos to get it out there. But yeah, that's all I do is live stream.
Hey, you know what? I used to do the same thing. I used to do live shows literally every single day. And then we'd talk about you chopping up and you put and record. And I get that. And I always joke around with Rob and Rue is because YouTube is an index, right? So on a live, it doesn't know like really what to do with it because it's just on the fly. And again, Google owns YouTube. It's an index. So I'm glad that, you recognize that and your channel's grown. So anyway, we have some more that we're going to get into. I don't know if there's anything you wanted to highlight, Rob. But nonetheless, I did want to at least pick his brain a little bit more, highlight some other key things.
Brock wants to know a question. He's got a question there for Scott. He says, yes. But the most important question is, does he cover my beloved ZEBEC?
ZEBEC is in my stack. I do talk about it regularly. Actually, I think I was the first person to report the ZEBEC lattice connection to Canton way long ago when it first came out.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, quick shout out to Crux, by the way. He wanted to be here. He was available tonight, but I feel like having 5 people on, it gets hard to have a conversation. So many people talking. So he will be back with us next Thursday. So
very cool. All right. So something I want to do real quick is just I want to highlight just some brief things. I want to respect that you're a special guest, but nonetheless, I really, really wanted to kind of pick your brain on some of these things. So
yeah, let's go.
Yeah, so for one, we've been sharing some things over here with us, CoinVault, on our own channels. We all cover Canton, obviously, individually as well, right? So this right here, this really caught my attention from a while back. I remember when I was covering Quant, thanks, Rob. When I was covering basically Quant, like in 2022, I'd always see Canton pop up, but they haven't gone public. A lot of times, when you get into some of this, some people have stated, Canton doesn't have any, central bank connections. And I'm like, that could be furthermore from the truth.
I was like, what?
Yeah, there's again, it's the same people that are like, they don't know about burns and stuff. It is what it is. People scratch the surface, right? So all the way back in 2022, you got Project Genesis, collaboration between the BIS and their innovation hub for the Hong Kong Center with the HKMA, Hong Kong Monetary Authority. Right here, I fast forward to this. I'm just going to play like just a little brief thing. I'll keep the transcript up for you guys because I know some of you guys from overseas like that up. Let's just listen to this. We're going to pick Scott's brain on this one. Here we go.
In the public sector. On the public sector side, we have the BIS, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, and also the United Nations Climate Change Innovation Hub. On the private side, we have Goldman Sachs, Digital Asset, as well as All Infra.
All right, so digital asset, right? So it's like, yeah, digital asset. Anyway, then there's this, right? Anybody could go verify this themselves, literally on X, I think maybe even LinkedIn, right? Digital asset back in a while ago, right, in October, says exciting news from HKEX Group. Oh, great to see DAML as part of the initiative that will benefit the industry. Again, settlement acceleration platform. And then I just kind of go back to it and I say to myself, yeah, that's interesting. What about Swift connection? Well, this is something that we covered, I think, in one of our first deep dives on Canton, and even in the RLN documents or RSN, right? We see in Figure 11 the MTN Swift integration, the Canton nodes, and again the Swift connector, and that's always something that really stood out for me. No knock on Ripple, even with G Treasury recently, we've seen Ripple highlight basically Swift as a partner through G Treasury. It's literally finally listed there. But then, of course, you got Canton, and it's just like, okay, for the transaction manager simulator, I should say. Another thing I just want to mention real quick is direct RSN connectivity model. You can see the orchestration here. Alternative setup where the MTN platform directly integrates with Canton native API using ISO-based message structures. So there's that. And then, of course, this real quick, which is the basically the global synchronizer. So again, I look at it like this. I mean, Citi, even in the document, they were the host of the RLN. And then you have clearly Citi settled the first trade on the HKEX Synops platform. Uses Fursania was a Canton participant in the US RLN, run by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. And you see it right there. And then again, countless other examples like even this. So to me, all this is there. But I just thought it would show that to you, kind of pick your brain a little bit in that regard. Always want to get some of your thoughts about this.
Digital Asset created Canton Network. When you search for Canton, a lot of people, when they search for Canton on these projects, you're not going to find anything, but you'll find Digital Asset. So I mean, that's all they do is Canton. It's not like Ripple. No offense, it's not like everything they're focusing on is going through the global synchronizer, and everything's going to impact CC as a retail holder. But they're also involved with the BIS and Project Premisa from the promissory notes that they were doing. I mentioned recently that I personally think they're a better fit, making sense for Project Agora when they're talking about the tokenization of bank reserves for cross-border settlement and cross-border payments. But digital assets been involved pretty much every step of the way in everything the BIS is doing. I didn't know about Swift.
Well, it's all right. It's just sometimes we don't get any of that stuff. We don't get it on YouTube. We don't get it on X. You have to go to like platforms like Vimeo, right? And then you'll see what they share. Like I make this joke, and it's actually true. It shouldn't even be considered a joke, right? Like there's X, as you're fully aware of.
Right.
And then there's what I call the institutional X, which is like LinkedIn, right?
Right.
And sometimes you have to go to some of those sources to kind of take an extra step. I've noticed that a lot of these ones that are outside the IMF, the BIS, and so on, they don't just have a YouTube channel. So where they share some of this stuff, they share it on Vimeo. So you really have to be part of like some of these private groups of other researchers. They're like, hey, grab this, literally screen capture this from Vimeo, then watch it all. And I do that because I'm trying to produce good content, but I'm also trying to have people understand that there's a narrative saying that none of this stuff is connected. And it's like, that's complete BS, because clearly years ago from the private side, they have been participants in this. And I always said years ago, even since 2022, I said, you know what, guys, at some point, pay attention to this Canton thing, because when they go public, we should really keep our eyes and ears on it. I remember sharing Canton with Rue and Rob a while back. I think it was, when was that? Rue, back in October, give or take. It was roughly around 7 cents. And I said, bro, I know that you and Rob, I missed the cake on XCN. And then I said, I won't miss the cake on ZEBEC. Let me pay it forward. I'm telling you, I researched this Canton thing. It's the real McCoy. Rue went gangbusters on it. He was deep diving, doing live shows left and right, showing the deep connections. So I just want to point this out real quick. You mentioned Project Agora. I don't need to flash it on the screen, but I want to point this out to you real quick, Scott.
Yeah.
Project Agora, there's this lady. She's part of the Quant Network. Again, similar situation, right? So she was interviewed by this guy named Chris Skinner. And Chris Skinner asked her just real blunt. He says, Project Agora, are you guys part of that? She was like, yeah. And
part of all of it.
All of the big central bank projects and so on. I was pointing out to my community for a while. I said, guys, I think it's inevitable that you'll see, as the saying goes, like cross pollination of Canton and also Quant Network, and they both are the only two that, to use the title like network of networks, right? But I was just like, it's going to make sense. They're going to cross pollinate because they were both RLN RSN participants. So when you mentioned Project Agora, just want to pick your brain on that as well, because the way I look at it is, yeah, you know what? When we talk about that settlement side, well, Quant Network is not going to settle in QNT. That's the interoperability layer. But now we have obviously Canton for true settlement. So I definitely want to get some of your thoughts on some of that, especially with Project Agora.
Well, again, Canton has not been confirmed in Project Agora. It's my opinion that I think they are a very good fit for what's described, and other analysts, not like, I can't remember who it was off the top of my head. I have it on my channel. Did a report. People who are much bigger than me, obviously, did a report on how they believed Canton and R3 Corda were the best fits for what they were trying to do with Project Agora. But as far as Quant goes, from my understanding of it, and the institutions using Canton pay for their Quant licensing, which is going to make them interoperable with everything they do on the Canton network outside of the Canton network via Quant, is how I am to understand it. So institutions pay for their licensing, Quant creates the interoperability, and Canton still does what Canton does.
Interesting.
Seems like Hyperledger Besu is going to be like the central hub for everything coming out of Canton.
Yeah, me and Smoke, we use this analogy a lot, and that is we look at QNT as being the unofficial Hyperledger token. All the terminology, all the documentation basically kind of points to that. We want to recognize the super chat. Brent, you've had some great questions tonight. Thank you, brother. Really appreciate you. He said, from what I have researched, Canton and XRP complement each other, not compete. Am I wrong? I would say you're not wrong. We've discussed this obviously on the Coin Vault, especially Rob has mentioned this numerous times. It's a multiverse world. And when you go into the fundamentals of it, it does seem as though that you are recognizing the real true utility, and it's about leveraging that. That's another thing I love about Quant. It's, again, think about multi-ledger dApps or MDApps. Quant is not going to necessarily do like real-time gross settlements through QNT. No, we've seen the demos, especially that Quant Overledger demo. I think it was 2.0. What was the first one they chose in that demo? They chose XRP for real-time gross settlements. So I don't think you're wrong. I would agree with you. Maybe you don't feel that way, Scott.
I wouldn't say I don't feel that way with the correct context. So I believe XRP is a liquidity bridge. Its main function is to provide liquidity between the switching of assets, and its true purpose and value is not going to be revealed until we have more assets on chain for it to bridge. I do believe Ripple is going to be highly involved, especially early in settlement, and will definitely work with Canton and the DTCC. How much of an impact that's going to have for XRP, I don't know. That's the question, because like right now they're using stable coins. I mean, Visa just announced the partnership with Braille that they're doing. That they're launching their own pilot and their own stablecoin on Canton for instant settlement. So who knows what's going to happen and shake out over the next year and how those things are going to be settled. The point is that XRP is a liquidity bridge. Canton is institutional settlement. How much liquidity is there going to be to bridge for XRP as things shake out, right? How well is it connected to Hyperledger Besu? And it's going to be able to move these tokenized treasuries, especially if things go Canton's way with Project Agora and they're moving cross-border payments. Like, I mean, how can that not impact XRP's use case, right? Is that just me?
No, it's not just you. Go ahead, Rob.
No, I agree. The thing is with XRP is that when they first came around, they didn't really have much competition to speak of, in terms of their utility. But I think what a lot of XRP maxis are missing, and this is not to FUD XRP, like I like XRP, I hold it, is that there is competition now, lots of it, right? And it's unfortunate what happened with the lawsuit, but I mean, it is what it is. It can't be changed. So, you know.
I mean, well, we're going to see when, here's the thing. Here's the other thing. And again, I have a very large bag of XRP. I am a top 5% of wallet holder. Okay. Like I've got a very large stack, but the thing with XRP, when we're looking at it moving forward, what does it do other than provide a liquidity bridge? And when we're looking at their actual ledger and what's being settled on ledger, well, what was it? They cited $80 billion of cross-border payments last year, or $80 billion of volume, right? And it was like 5 billion actually ran on the blockchain.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I hold XRP, but these are real things happening. So if they're not using the public blockchain, what the hell are they doing? It's not impacting XRP. So yeah, they're doing 80 billion in cross-border payments, but only 5 billion are taking place on the blockchain. Like these, I mean, these are real things as XRP holders we have to face. And
it's not FUD. It's just, you know, the thing is people don't like to hear what is bad, I guess, considered bad news for them, right? And it's just, again,
well, to be fair, we're referencing the past, and that's the whole thing. We can go to documents that literally show, especially from the Central Bank of Indonesia, where they love the use case of XRP. They love the concept of what the main product that Ripple's providing to bring to the table of on-demand liquidity, which frustrates the living heck out of me, to be honest, that so many people, they'll mention XRP and they still to this day don't know the real main product of on-demand liquidity, how crucial that is, especially with the patents and so on. And so for me, it's like I go back to some of these documents, especially this guy's name is Sagar Sabahai. Just a little background on this guy. This guy used to be part of Ripple. Then he went over to Fireblocks. He pitched basically really early, I think it was 2017, 2018, give or take, right? Don't quote me on that, to the Central Bank of Indonesia and said, take a look at this. They were blown away with it. At the time, they're like, we love it, but guess what? We can't hold this because we're not allowed to, because again, the lack of clarity. People say, oh, here you guys going to go again. You got to talk about the clarity. But guess what? That is really yes, it matters more than anything, because again, you can have all the central bank integrations, which clearly we have. We even gave you the example of Canton, right? But in reality, we have to have that clarity moving forward before they can host or hold that on their balance sheets. And that's the way I look at it, Scott, is once they are going to hold that on their balance sheets and we have that clarity, that's going to be game changer. And I go back and shout out to our brother Jesse Apex. He's covered this numerous times. One central bank, and there's many, as we know, can move more and do more transactions in a single day than Bitcoin can do all year long. And that says something. You know, we talk about real-time gross settlements with finality. Yeah, 3 to 5 seconds. In some cases, even better than that. Right. There's other blockchains, as we know, that have superior technology. I know I mentioned things like BSV. They just don't have the partners that Ripple has. And that's what I go back to. People call this stuff the Dino coins. It's something about being the tried and tested. And, of course, having some technologies you're adapting to the next wave. And that's where we're entering to. No pun intended. Ripple with the next wave. Where do they go from there? Anyway.
Right. Well, no, I completely agree with that. Sorry, just two things. Because I don't want to come off as an anti-XRP person. The reason I love XRP is because I acknowledge that Ripple has built out a massive, massive infrastructure. And I know I try to go off what I know. I know tokenization is happening. It's going to be massive. So I've been primarily focused on investing in tokenization plays. But with XRP, Ripple has a massive infrastructure, massive amount of licensing, massive amount of partnerships. And no matter how you shake it, bad tokenomics, whatever the case, XRP sits at the middle of that. That's a risk I'm willing to freaking take. That's honestly how I look at it. Because there is the opportunity for trillions of dollars to move through XRP in the future. It's not a guarantee, but that's how I look at it, honestly.
Drew,
I know. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Rob. Sorry.
I said willing to roll those dice.
Rue, I know you had some questions. We said backstage you had some questions specifically for Scott. I'm all done with what I had to share, but I mean, I obviously enjoy our conversation, but I also want to respect that you had some questions for him. So by all means.
Quick shout out, to Underdog Research on the screen there. It says, "I'm violating the beard gang. Grow it back, brother, or we protesting."
Good to see you, Underdog. Yep, Underdog's got one of the best beards in the business. So
Indeed. So going to go in a different direction a little bit. I've been doing a lot of research on agentic AI, specifically with Near, and how Near says they're going to be the settlement layer of agentic AI. I know a few different people have mentioned Canton when it comes to agentic AI. And I know Canton does a lot to make public blockchains have an ability to be private. So it seems like to me with things like Adele, how they're going to tokenize stocks and kind of do like an Egan layer type of thing with it and
Right.
like offer the restaking on stocks, it would be a prime candidate to be able to have treasuries go back and forth with these tokenized stocks in an agentic AI way.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I don't know if you guys know it. Recently, I want to say it's like, God, was like 2 months ago, the Grant Foundation for Canton issued, was it a $200,000 grant to a Cambridge student who was building out agentic AI commerce for the Canton network, and they've actually already done their test pilot and done the first fully private transaction with agentic AI to this point. So that is being built on Canton network as we speak at Cambridge University.
Lovely.
love it.
Yeah, I really think that's the future. Because if you look at like Canton and XRP kind of together, XRP, like you said, it could do the kind of the settlement of all this different liquidity. Canton can make all the public blockchains private, and it seems like a very great relationship right there for me, for both of them to work together. But here with the lowering of the fees with the stable coins, if you throw AI agents into the mix, now you can take advantage of having those very, very reduced fees.
Right. I think most of the AI work this is me, my opinion and speculation. This isn't something I've heard from the inner Canton circle. I think most of the AI commerce we'll see specifically on the Canton network is going to be managing portfolio in the sense of moving whatever product to the best yield, etc. As far as going off of the Canton network, I think that's where you're going to see maybe something else's AI, not necessarily private. That's where it starts to go public. I think a lot of what happens with institutions is all going to happen on the Canton network. And then we're going to have Hyperledger Besu as kind of the front run to move it all public. That's just my view on how I think it's going to work based on what I've seen and how the apps are setting up and like that. But agentic AI for XRP specifically, the ability to drive the transactions is going to be massive, especially when you're talking about, say DTCC is doing their back-end settlement. They have quadrillions going through. That money is going to leave Canton. And right now it's announced it's going to leave it through Stellar. Again, exactly. We all know XRP is on that patent too. So when will that be announced? Who knows? The liquidity is going to have to flow out of Canton when it's done. And I think that's the connection. And that's where you're going to see the transaction volume with the agentic AI that I think you're looking at. That's my opinion on it.
There's something I want to quickly share because you mentioned Hyperledger Besu. So even here from docs.overledger.dev, not to nerd it out too much, right? We see here data availability service. So right here, we know that Quant's Overledger Fusion 2.5, they're the only ones that have a layer 2.5. So this aggregates Fusion rollup batch transaction data and submits it to the private data available chain only, typically a permission Besu network. So right there, I mean, we can basically get into the overlap all we want with this, right? And some people are going to point out, well, what about bridges? You have that right there built into its stack. Well, in this case, optimism, right? Again, we're going to use a different technology, and we're gonna leverage that as well. And then for consensus, because some people are going to point that out, you even have where they're going to order transactions, produce fusion rollups, blocks, and read transactions from every connected DLT network. So for me, it's like, yup, every DLT network. Again, think about the global synchronizer. Think about both are a network of networks. So when we saw that collab, Canton and Quant, to me it was just like, I was just saying to myself, yeah, this is no surprise. Why didn't we do this sooner? Well, maybe it's because Canton was waiting for Quant to do this layer 2.5. I know I said I was going to kick to Rob or Rue, I should say, on this one, but I forgot to mention that. I did want to pick your brain about that one.
I gotta drop a nugget. It's gonna blow your mind as far as this overlap. Do you know where the name Hyperledger came from?
I'll be honest, I didn't. I don't know where that came from.
You know, so Linux created Hyperledger, right?
I do know about that. Yes, the decentralized trust, Linux Foundation, decentralized trust, et cetera, et cetera. How they changed the name originally.
So the name was gifted to them. Someone owned or purchased a company. It was named Hyperledger, and they gifted it to them as part of that process. So they gifted them the trademark and everything. That was digital asset, by the way.
Yeah, Jesse of Apex Crypto talked a lot about this, the name change and so on, but go ahead.
Yeah, digital asset gave Linux Hyperledger.
Interesting.
Just so you know. I mean, if you want overlap, there you go.
Right, and we know Linux is an operating system. So to me, all this makes sense when we talk about. I mean, I talk about Quant all the time. I look at Quant as being like a operation or operating system for Web3 and going to the fourth industrial revolution. But some good points. But yeah, I don't know. When you mentioned Bessie, I was just like, yep, Quant makes sense with Canton, you name it. So anyway,
it does. And then you throw Ripple and Stellar in there for liquidity on the back end, and then the wheel makes sense when you put it together. But we got to confirm those pieces.
Well, there you go again, Brent. Just in case you're still watching, brother. There's your answer. It is really truly complimentary. Again, back to what Rob has always mentioned. Rob, you got to make merch. Merch is going to literally say multiverse world at this point, because it is. Every time we go to the documents and get more deeper into it, it's a multiverse world. But Rue, I think you got some things you want to chime in, brother. Go ahead.
No, I pretty much covered everything that I wanted. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it, brother.
Super chat, absolutely. Let's go.
Chat just popped in there. Interested in your guys' thoughts on Tau or Near versus all the big AI players and adoption in general for crypto AI. I think it's interesting that Arthur Hayes dumped all of his Near because he thinks that Trump is going to go ahead and try to spin an anti-AI narrative going into the midterm. So he thinks that AI plays like Near are probably going to take a hit. That's what I was reading today, but whether it's accurate or not, I have no idea. I like both projects though. Anybody else got any thoughts on Tau or Near?
I have thoughts on Near, but you can go first. Go ahead, Scott.
I was just going to say, I did some research on Tau, and I actually had made the decision that I was going to start investing in it. And before I actually started dollar cost averaging into it, there was a big scandal with one of the subnets on Tau, where one of the main investors bounced and said they're doing a bunch of shady stuff. And I stopped it. I mean, at that point, I stopped researching it and said, it may still be a good project, but I'm not risking my money on it. I mean, that's about all I have with Tau. I am looking into Near though, so I'm interested to see what you have to say.
I actually dove into that instance with Tau, and what it broke down to was accusations of them not being decentralized. And what it ended up being, from what I found, was that the validator or node operator that left and said this, their main problem was that they were dropping information that they should not have been, from my understanding, and that information was being deleted from their, I don't know if it was their Telegram or whatever, and that's why they considered the project not decentralized, because they were being censored on what they were saying about the project from the inside. because they weren't accusing them of being not decentralized before that. So that was essentially the accusation, and then they dumped on the community and left. So that's what I got from it.
Right. Right. I mean, again, as I said, it might be a good project. I just at that point, I was like, I'm not risking my money on it. I'm going to figure this out first. You know.
Well, as far as Near goes, their founder, Ilya Polosukin, I believe is his name, he wrote the paper All You Need Is Attention, which was basically the foundation of AI, as when he was an engineer with Google. So big relation right there. In 2024, he was on stage for one of NVIDIA's conferences. He's been at the last two, and Jensen Huang like touched his arm, and they made a big deal of that on Near. Like, I don't know what the arm touch was about, and I'll pull it up for you guys to see it. Like, Near even made a separate post to just highlight and zoom in on the arm touch. I don't know if what that means. There might be something about that, but in addition to that, this year they deepened their relationship with NVIDIA, where it's down to the hardware level that Near is together with NVIDIA when it comes to confidential AI and encryption. And, you know, you being an engineer, you probably know, like, for like government contracts, you definitely have to have encryption at rest and in transit. And Near has that already with their AI product. And it's called Near Confidential Intents. So they already have that, and they claim that they want to be the settlement layer for agentic AI. And I don't know if you guys know, but like they already connect to like over 30 different blockchains. So all of that is there. And they've been moving tons and tons of Zcash. Well, how they're doing it, I don't know, but they're moving tons and tons of Zcash. They just hooked up with the country of Bermuda, which a lot of stuff goes down in Bermuda. People might know. Shout out to Underdog Research Channel, and that they're hooking up the whole city of Bermuda to agentic AI. Bermuda is also another place that you can go have zero capital gains tax on cryptos. So I find it very interesting that they're doing what they're doing in Bermuda. Oh, by the way, Stellar has some stuff going on in Bermuda as well. So that with the NVIDIA on top of like I know that stuff happened with Arthur Hayes, but in the meantime, in the background, Grayscale created a Near Trust and Bitwise created a Near ETF. So
well, here's the thing. He wasn't like Arthur Hayes wasn't fighting Near. He's just he's scared it's going to dump, so he's getting out before a dump. He didn't have.
Well, he kind of caused the dump, to be honest. Like
yeah, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Like he kind of did it. So, but he's done this before with other projects like GMX, if you guys remember back in the day with that, and you know he ended up dumping it. But this is like Near has more staying power to me based off the confidential AI, and you can tell they just made another partnership with Circle, where they have confidential USDC on there, which I'm sure Canton might be involved with because XUSDC, right? Canton
USDC
makes that
exit.
possible. Yeah. So I'm sure Canton has some connection there. You know, you can kind of imply that, but a lot to like about Near.
Gotcha. I haven't heard of a connection with Near yet. I mean, I not with Canton anyway. I haven't come across anything that would lead me that direction, but I have been looking into AI crypto because I want to get involved in one going forward because I obviously think agentic AI is going to be massive. So I've been looking into Near and ICP and Tau and trying to figure out, you know, what's going to be the best project for me that I believe in. So far as it's been going, I am leaning with Near at this point, but you know, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, let me pull up that picture of Jensen Huang touching him on the arm and how they made a big deal of that. I'll pull that up, funny. You guys. You guys keep going. I'll pull that up right quick.
How dare you?
Dare you? I just think that's fine. I mean, they make such a big. I mean, the craziest narratives get started off the craziest things, and in crypto. I mean, oh.
While
But,
he's pulling that, oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, did you get it pulled up?
Yes, I have it here. Let me share my screen.
Yeah, the only connection that I'm seeing between Canton and Near is just a generic interoperability one. Well, through projects like the Layer Zero, but there's
Right.
nothing connecting the two. So, yeah.
Well, my implication there is that the USDC that they're using, there's a privacy layer there. It could be USDCX, but let's see here. Let me bring up my screen.
Oh, Rue's sharing his screen, so it's gonna be about 5 minutes.
So here we have it here. Near has joined NVIDIA Inception program to accelerate verifiable privacy preserving AI. The program provides advanced access to NVIDIA's GPU resources, developer tooling, and technical expertise to help Near power secure enterprise-grade AI systems at scale. Now, I would show you some more background on this, but their blog was inaccessible a couple of days ago when I was talking about this. So I don't know if they still removed that information or not, but let me see here. So here it is, the whole hand touch, right? Now, Near went and like blew this up. I don't know if I can find that here. There it is.
Maybe it's extremely endearing in the culture or something. I don't know.
I don't know, but then why even make a separate post where you zoom in on?
I have been abused.
I have no idea what that's about, but that's there.
Where did XRP hurt you?
So very interesting there. But let me see if they brought the blog back up. Maybe it was just down for a couple days.
Shout out to Crypto Genie in the meantime. Does DTCC's multi-chain approach have any implications for Canton's long-term client growth and differentiation strategy?
I mean, I don't work for Canton, so I'm just giving my opinion. And in my opinion, no. Canton knew it was. I mean, they've talked specifically about it being a multi-chain world, but they were building specifically for one specific customer, and that was institutional settlement. They wanted to attack the big money. So when it comes to does it change their approach, I don't think so. I mean, they're working with. Sure, they're working with the DTCC, but don't forget they're also working with Euroclear. They also have DAML going on with the clearinghouse in Australia. You can do a little bit more digging, and you can find another clearinghouse that's piloting on the Canton network that I was told not to talk about. So, like, it's public knowledge, but I was still told not to talk about it. But like, so, I mean, there's stuff going on out there still more than just outside the DTCC. When you look at the grand scale of things, I think it was like a month ago I read when it comes to tokenization of these assets, we're at 0.01%. I don't think we got anything to worry about.
So they did take down the blog where they had the confidential AI with the USDC and the Near NVIDIA partnership with the Inception program. They took that blog down. But here they have basically a revenue chart that everyone can go see. They're actually earning revenue, which for a lot of crypto projects is not the case. So you can see here that their fees are they're steadily getting fees in Near, and for their Near Intense program, they're also getting fees with that as well, which are continuously growing. So
Shout out to Purple Brain with the $5 super chat on Maximus Crypto. Thank you so much. Also, just wanted, of course, to thank the previous person, Crypto Genie, for your super chat. I'm going to go ahead and highlight that and heard it. But Purple Brain says maybe they are fans of Omarian's touch. For me, all I'm touching is cryptos on the low these days. with auto buys keeping me on the up and narrow. Let's go. All right. Well, thanks for sharing that. Purple Rain.
DCA is the way.
Shout out to Shook, by the way. Shook Focus in the house.
Yep. Scared to death, scared to look. They shook because ain't no such things as halfway researchers.
Scared to look at his freaking yearbook. F. Claire Brook.
That's right.
Nice. Well,
F
guys, we have
o'clock and-
approached. Go ahead, Max.
Gonna say F o'clock, F or something on it. Right?
I could probably do the whole thing, dude. I'm that guy, but I ain't gonna.
You said you were done with hip hop after Nelly in the early 2000s backstage, but then again, 8 Mile came out what 2002, 3. Anyway, all right, that makes sense.
Eminem was pre 2002.
Yeah.
Oh
that's
yeah,
fair.
of course, late 90s. That's fair.
We have approached the hour mark. Max, did you have some?
I just wanted to do just one brief update because it was XLM. I did include it on Maximus Crypto real quick, and this is going to be good as something to close out with our special guest Scott. So, really, if you can unshare your screen for just a moment.
Sure.
Yeah. So I just wanted to share something with you guys. Some of you guys could say this is kind of breaking. It was literally just a couple hours ago. We'll close it out with this. Okay. So for one, between Rue and Scott, you did mention a little bit of XLM. Some of you guys in the community, we're doing all this crossover between Stellar, XRP, Canton. I'll start right here. I'll make it real quick. Okay. So just a few hours ago at 4:07 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Canton shared Societe Generale joined as a super validator. TCAN listed on NASDAQ as the first U.S. Canton ETF. So that right there, if that doesn't catch your attention, probably nothing will. I'm going to go ahead and reshare this. And then on top of that, Masari published an initiation of coverage report, and they have a snapshot of May in the Canton ecosystem. All right, we could probably obviously deep dive more into this, right? Here's where you should really be paying attention. As we know, there's this crossover. Big shout out to Smoke with his research. This is what I love about Rob when he says multiverse world, complementary, all this stuff. This further solidifies it. You have this white paper for the EURCV stablecoin that confirms Societe Generale Forge, which we covered a lot on our own channels, CoinVault, and so on, issued it natively on both the XRPL and Stellar. Now, even for myself, I've been mainly sharing with you guys the whole thing, and mainly just Stellar. So now, if you really think about it, we have solidification of the XRPL, Stellar, and Canton. And again, directly compliant with MiCA, well, of course, and of course, documented below. And I'll just get into the highlights real quick before we just wrap it up. As we blow this up a little bit more, this is from an actual document. So you see EUCV are issued by Societe Generale. There's the issuer address, as you see right here. Actually, I'll blow this up just a tad bit more. Sorry about that. And then on Stellar, you have the issuer right here. You can go verify this as well. All right. Right down here, at any time the assets comprised in the segregated accounts, will comply with investment rules, again with MiCA, if you want to nerd it out, and in accordance with this other thing of Article 49 of MiCA. Holders that are EEA residents have at all times a claim against issuer, and of course this whole thing with the euro. But go verify for it yourself. The point is this, everybody. This is more solidification that you are literally seeing within smart contracts, how this is all orchestrated and how this all works. And more importantly, even this part isn't highlighted. Look what it says here. Initial collateral custodian with these particular segregated accounts. So there's something to be said about that. And Scott, the way I look at it, we've seen a lot when it comes to Canton and DTCC. Like, been there, done that. We saw it, obviously, what was it, last week? DTCC, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, give or take, with Stellar. We see this, as I would call it, cross-pollination. But Ripple, Hedera, and Quant working with the Digital Euro Association, obviously for like a digital euro. But then there's Stellar for the digital euro stablecoin. And what's the plug to that? It's Societe Generale Forge, and they have selected Stellar's infrastructure. So again, to see this cross-pollination, if you want to call it that, I want to close it out with some of your thoughts in regard to all of this multiverse world.
Oh gosh, I mean, I do believe it's going to be a multiverse world, but I also do believe when we look at it, in order for a few to be immortal, many must die. So there's going to be a handful of winners that are going to get the biggest piece of the pie, and a lot of altcoins are going to go away. They're going to lose. And when I'm looking at, these kinds of documents, and we see who's plugged in, and we've been following it for years, and we see who's partnered with who and where the money, I always say follow the money. The money tells you where to go. Look where the big money is investing. Look where the big money is partnering. Societe Generale is incorporated with both Ripple and Canton and Stellar. So when you start seeing Goldman Sachs work with multiples, or you start seeing the big money partnering with multiple different blockchains, and it's all the same big money, partnering with these multiple different blockchains, I mean, it kind of paints the picture there by itself. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I would say follow the money. And there was the second thing, when you pulled up that first announcement with Canton, you skipped over, I think, one of the biggest pieces of information in there.
Well, I wasn't trying to make it a deep dive, but go ahead.
A lot of people are understating is the Zenith connection. Zenith doing 600K transactions on the EVM sidechain. That's still in beta. So once they open up that EVM sidechain layer, that's going to flood all of that Ethereum liquidity and development into the Canton network as well. They're going to, and so it's about to open up full throttle throughout the next probably 6 to 8 months.
You said all. I mean, all is a big word. Or do you think what you want to say is a large portion? I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but
which part? Sorry, what did I say? All on. Sometimes I get talking.
No, it's okay. The part with Zenith. So I understand that's going to be a big deal moving forward. But like the way I look at it, I mean, is it really going to be all, or is it just going to be capturing like a large percentage of what they're going to be doing, bringing it from the bridge from Ethereum?
Well, I think it's where does the money goes where the liquidity flows. Where's all the liquidity in blockchain right now?
Well,
right, it's running on Ethereum.
Yeah.
All the stable everything's
prediction markets.
Right, but I mean the bulk of stable coins, the bulk of blockchain liquidity in general rests on Ethereum right now. That EVM sidechain is basically going to open up all that liquidity to the Canton network to open up again more institutional options, more investment options, more DeFi options. So I do think that's a very, very big piece, giving connectivity to these institutions to that liquidity. When they're done with their privacy institutional settlement, it's going to flow out of Canton when it's done. And it's not just all going to go through Hyperledger Besu. Some of it will go to Ethereum because that's where the liquidity is.
Well said. Well, thank you for that. By all means, I know you want to wrap it up, Rob. And thanks everybody. It's been fun.
Yeah, I got to put my little guy to bed. I'd like to go around the table and get everybody's final thoughts. We'll start with Rue and work our way through and his whack ass crew. What's going on, buddy?
No, thanks for coming on, Scott. I'd love to hear your future thoughts on NEAR once you do your research on it. Thanks for the questions answered on Canton, and pleasure meeting you, man.
Yeah, anytime. It's a blast for me, man. Like I could talk crypto all day. And usually, when I stream, I'm talking to myself for an hour. So this is a vacation for me. I can actually have a conversation. It's so much easier to stream conversing.
No, you're right, 100%. Yeah, Scott, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for reaching out. It's an honor to have somebody like yourself that does deep dive research to reach out to our platforms and obviously what we do with the Coin Vault as well. You're a very much appreciated person in this space. Is it safe to say that probably in the future you'll maybe do another collaboration with Yuval or ask him some more critical questions, to say the least? You got that on your back burner?
I don't have a date for it yet. I've been in his ear about it. I do get to talk to him from time to time. He engages with me on X. So I do plan on trying to get him on again, but he's been traveling a lot. He's got a lot going on right now. I was going to try to push that when we get closer to the DTCC soft launch. So maybe I can try and squeeze his arm to do an interview, hopefully around right after 4th of July or something before that runs off. I think would be a pretty big stream right before that pops off. I know a lot of people are waiting for that. So I'm going to try to push that, but we'll see.
Yeah, one thing I like about him is he seems as though it doesn't matter if it's a small, medium, or a Paul Barron network. He just wants to share, obviously Canton and keep people informed, which is absolutely awesome. So anyway, yeah, thank you so much for reaching out to us. We're going to close it out actually with this. I think, Rob, you agree, maybe this is a good thing to do for all the people that tune in late. So here's his channel, everybody. Please give him a follow. Longview Compute, literally how it sounds. And then you can also follow him on X at the same thing, right? At Longview Crypto. Actually, a little bit different on that one. I apologize.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, too, if you guys want interviews and founders and stuff like that with the people who are actually building on that stuff, I actually have an interview tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. with the founder of Alpend, which is right now the leading retail lending and borrowing for your CC. So they're going to be on my channel tomorrow at 7 a.m. if you want to get some behind the scenes on how you actually earn money on your CC.
A lot of people asked about that. That's awesome, man. So shout out to you and your program. Guys, give him a follow. Get into what he's got has got into clearly. Thank you again. That's all I have for myself, Rob.
Yeah, Scott, thanks again for coming on, man. I'd love to have you on as regular from, whenever it suits kind of your schedule. It'd be great to have you on again. Great conversation,
Anytime.
man. Great conversation. Fit right in with what we're trying to do here, right? We kind of try to stick to facts and stuff like that, and it's great to have you here. I'd like to just kind of close it out for everybody with, it is Men's Mental Health Month this month as well. So if you have issues, talk to somebody. It is a leading cause of what's in men, so 80%. So definitely talk to somebody if you have issues. So
I gotta touch on this since you hit that.
Yeah.
Take care of your mental health, guys. From someone who's been through deep depression, deep anxiety, I had multiple strokes a few years back, so I deal with that as well. Last month was Stroke Awareness Month, by the way. But yeah, take care of your mental health, man. Reach out to someone. There are other guys that you can talk to.
Yes. Take care of check in on your brothers, your husbands, your fathers, your nephews, and all that stuff. So, all right, guys, that is it for the Coinball crew. God bless.
God bless.
Peace.